Anger. It has always been there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for the right trigger to explode like a volcano. I have felt its heat in my chest, its pressure in my head, the fire spreading through my veins like an unstoppable force. At times, it has controlled me, dictated my actions, and left destruction in its wake. But what if I told you that anger isn't the enemy? What if I told you that anger, when understood, controlled, and channeled, can become one of the most powerful tools in your life? I used to believe that anger was something to suppress, something to shove deep down and pretend didn't exist. Society teaches us that anger is a weakness, a flaw in our character. But I soon realized that ignoring anger is like ignoring fire. It doesn't just disappear, it finds a way to burn, whether through outbursts, resentment, or internal suffering. My journey into anger management wasn't easy. It wasn't about learning to be calm all the time or pretending to be unbothered. It was about understanding anger, its roots, its purpose, and its potential. Anger, at its core, is energy. And energy, when harnessed, can create rather than destroy. In this text, I will take you through the most powerful psychological methods for controlling and managing anger and negative emotions. We will dive into the science behind anger, exploring how it forms, why it takes over, and how to turn it into something constructive. This is not about passive submission or simply counting to 10. This is about mastering one of the most primal and powerful emotions that define us as humans. I will share with you the strategies that transformed my life, from cognitive behavioral techniques to mindfulness, from Stoic philosophy to real-world exercises that help me maintain control even in the most challenging situations. You will learn how to detect anger before it takes over, how to channel its energy into productive action, and how to create a mindset that is not a slave to emotion but a master of it. This journey is not just about managing anger, it's about transforming it. It's about turning emotional chaos into mental clarity, rage into resilience, and negativity into power. And by the time you reach the final page, you will not only understand your anger, you will own it. Are you ready to take control? Let's begin. The nature of anger. To understand anger, we must first break it down to its core. Why do we get angry? What purpose does it serve? Anger is often painted as a destructive force, but in reality, it evolved as a survival mechanism. In ancient times, our ancestors relied on anger to defend themselves, to assert dominance, to protect their tribes. It was never meant to be an uncontrollable beast, it was meant to be a tool, a signal that something needed to change. But in today's world, we don't face wild animals or enemy tribes. We face stress, deadlines, social conflicts, and personal frustrations. And yet, our brain still triggers the same fight or flight response, pumping adrenaline into our system and preparing us for battle. The problem? There's no physical enemy to fight, only ourselves, our relationships, and our peace of mind. So, what can we do? The first step is awareness. Before we can control anger, we must learn to recognize it. Think about the last time you got angry. What happened? How did it feel? Did your body tense up? Did your heart race? Did your mind flood with thoughts of revenge or frustration? Start keeping track of these moments. Write them down in a journal. Identify the patterns. Does your anger flare up in traffic? At work? In relationships? Recognizing these triggers is the key to breaking free from anger's grip. Are you ready to take control? Let's begin. Immediate strategies to diffuse anger. Now that we've identified the triggers, the next step is learning how to diffuse anger before it takes over. The key is to disrupt the emotional response before it spirals out of control. The power of deep breathing. The moment you feel anger rising, focus on your breath. Breathe in deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds. Repeat this cycle at least 5 times. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling to your body that it's safe to calm down. The 5-second rule. When anger strikes, give yourself 5 seconds before reacting. Count backward from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This simple pause gives your brain a moment to regain control before responding impulsively. Physical movement to release tension. Anger builds up physical energy. If possible, remove yourself from the situation and do a quick physical activity. Walk briskly, do jumping jacks, or shake out your arms and legs. This helps burn off the adrenaline fueling your anger. Reframing the narrative. Ask yourself, what is another way to look at this situation? Instead of assuming someone was trying to upset you, consider alternative explanations. Maybe they were having a bad day, or maybe there was a misunderstanding. Changing your perspective can instantly shift your emotional state. Visualization technique. Close your eyes and imagine a calm, peaceful place, a beach, a forest, or anywhere that makes you feel at ease. Picture yourself stepping away from the anger and into that peaceful space. This mental shift can help break the cycle of escalating emotion. Long-term strategies to master anger. Short-term techniques can help in the moment, but true mastery of anger requires long-term changes in mindset and behavior. Here are the foundational strategies that will transform your relationship with anger. 1. Practicing mindfulness daily. Mindfulness teaches you to observe your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Set aside 10 minutes each day to sit quietly, focus on your breath, and acknowledge any emotions that arise without judgment. This practice strengthens your ability to detach from anger instead of reacting impulsively. 2. Cognitive restructuring. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, techniques help rewire the way you interpret situations. When you catch yourself thinking, "This is unfair," or "They did this on purpose," pause and challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is there solid evidence for this belief? Could there be another explanation? Training your brain to replace extreme thoughts with balanced ones reduces unnecessary anger. 3. Practicing gratitude. Anger thrives in a mindset of scarcity and resentment. Shift your focus by actively practicing gratitude. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. This rewires your brain to see positivity instead of focusing solely on frustration. 4. Channeling anger into constructive action. Instead of suppressing anger, use it as motivation. Let it drive you to work harder. Improve yourself, or stand up for something meaningful. Many great leaders, activists, and athletes have used their anger to fuel progress rather than destruction. 5. Strengthening emotional intelligence. The more you understand your emotions, the easier it becomes to control them. Read books on emotional intelligence, engage in self-reflection, and practice articulating your feelings in a constructive way. Over time, this will make you less reactive and more composed. Stoic advice on mastering anger. The Stoic philosophers, those great minds who sought virtue over impulse, reason over reaction, viewed anger as a poison, a self-inflicted wound, a disease of the soul. Yet, they did not advocate for mere suppression, they sought transformation. They taught that anger could be dismantled, not through force, but through wisdom. 1. See anger for what it is, a temporary madness. Seneca, in his powerful essay on anger, called it a brief insanity. He observed that when anger controls us, we lose our ability to think clearly, to judge justly, to act with wisdom. Therefore, the first step in Stoic anger management is to recognize that, in the heat of the moment, our perception is flawed. Before speaking, before acting, we must pause and ask, am I seeing this situation clearly, or is my mind clouded by emotion? 2. Delay. Epictetus advised, when you are offended, do not react immediately. Give yourself time before responding, and ask whether it is really worth your peace. Anger thrives on immediacy, on snap judgments and reflexive retaliation. But the wise man does not strike back in haste, he waits, observes, and lets reason temper emotion. A day, an hour, even a few moments of delay can prevent a lifetime of regret. 3. Control your perspective. It's not what happens, but how you interpret it. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Anger is not caused by external events, but by how we interpret them. If we believe we have been wronged, we feel rage. But what if we change our interpretation? What if we see insults as mere words, obstacles as challenges, adversity as a test of our character? The Stoic does not take offense easily because he knows that true power lies in governing his own response. 4. Practice premeditation, expect the provocation. One of the Stoic exercises was premeditatio malorum, the practice of mentally preparing for hardships before they occur. Each morning, remind yourself, today, I will meet people who are rude, selfish, or inconsiderate. I may face injustice. I may be misunderstood. But I will not let these things control me. By anticipating anger-inducing situations, you strip them of their power. 5. Understand that anger is weakness, not strength. The Stoics saw anger not as a mark of strength, but of vulnerability. Seneca said, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. The strongest man is he who is slow to anger. The undisciplined man lashes out. The wise man restrains himself. True power lies in composure, in the ability to remain calm while others lose control. 6. Reframe every offense. Is this worth my peace? When faced with an insult or a perceived wrong, ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? Most anger stems from trivialities, someone cutting you off in traffic, a rude comment, a minor inconvenience. The Stoic trains himself to see these as they truly are, insignificant, undeserving of his energy. 7. Cultivate indifference to external events. Epictetus taught that we suffer not because of what happens to us, but because of our judgments about what happens. If someone offends you, it is not the offense that disturbs you, but your opinion of it. If you train yourself to be indifferent to insults, they lose all power over you. 8. Let time be your healer. Seneca advised that nothing soothes anger like time. Before acting in anger, he suggested asking yourself, if I wait a day, will I still feel this way? More often than not, the storm passes, and what once seemed urgent fades into irrelevance. 9. Transform anger into constructive action. Anger, when properly managed, can be a source of energy rather than destruction. The Stoics did not advocate for passivity but for channeling powerful emotions into productive ends. If injustice enrages you, use that energy to create change rather than resentment. If failure frustrates you, let it fuel your determination rather than despair. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. B1. Instead of stewing in anger, act in accordance with virtue. 10. Practice the view from above. One of the most powerful Stoic exercises is the view from above, imagining yourself looking down on the world from high above. Seeing your problems, your anger, and your life from a cosmic perspective. From this height, the small grievances of daily life seem insignificant. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the vastness of time, the fleeting nature of human life, and how trivial most conflicts truly are. The next time anger grips you, step back, see yourself as a mere traveler in a vast universe, and ask, does this moment deserve my peace? 11. Avoid angry people and triggers. Seneca warned that anger is contagious. Just as diseases are passed from one to another, so too is anger. If you surround yourself with angry, impatient, or impulsive people, their energy will influence you. The Stoic deliberately chooses his company, seeking the wise, the composed, and the measured. Similarly, he identifies and avoids personal triggers, whether they be certain situations, topics, or people that provoke unnecessary anger. 12. Train daily. Anger is a habit, so is calmness. Emotional control is like a muscle, it strengthens with practice. Each day, challenge yourself to remain unshaken in the face of provocation. When someone is rude, see it as a test rather than an offense. When you feel frustration rising, pause and breathe deeply. Seneca advised, count to 10 before speaking in anger, and 100 if necessary. The more you practice restraint, the more natural it becomes. 13. Accept what is outside your control. Much of our anger stems from resistance to reality. We become frustrated when things don't go as planned, when people act against our expectations, when events unfold in ways we dislike. But the Stoic recognizes a fundamental truth: the world is beyond our control, but our response to it is not. Epictetus taught, do not demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. Instead of raging against what you cannot change, adapt, accept, and move forward with wisdom. 14. Practice gratitude. The antidote to anger. It is nearly impossible to be both angry and grateful at the same time. The Stoic cultivates gratitude as a countermeasure to frustration. Each day, remind yourself of what is going well, of the kindness you have received, of the many things that have aligned in your favor. Instead of dwelling on an insult, focus on the friends who respect you. Instead of fuming over a delay, appreciate the extra time for reflection. Gratitude transforms perspective and weakens the hold of anger. 15. Remember the impermanence of life. One of the Stoics' most powerful meditations is on mortality. Life is fleeting, and time is the one resource we can never reclaim. Why waste it in anger? Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you feel anger rising, ask yourself, if this were my last day on earth, would this be how I choose to spend it? Most often, the answer is no. 16. Reframe insults as opportunities for growth. The Stoics saw insults and criticism not as attacks, but as chances to strengthen their character. Epictetus advised, if anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, but answer, he does not know the rest of my faults, else he would not have mentioned only these. Instead of responding with anger, acknowledge the insult, reflect on whether it contains any truth, and either improve or dismiss it without distress. 17. Delay your reaction. Time diminishes rage. Seneca taught that time is the greatest cure for anger. Instead of reacting immediately, pause. Take a deep breath. Walk away. Sleep on it. What seems infuriating in the moment often appears trivial after some time has passed. By delaying your response, you give reason a chance to take control over impulse. 18. Replace anger with humor. Laughter is a powerful weapon against anger. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that many of life's troubles are merely absurdities of human nature. Instead of taking every offense personally, try to see the ridiculousness in the situation. A moment of humor can break the cycle of rage and turn conflict into light-heartedness. 19. Keep a daily anger journal. Self-reflection is a key Stoic practice. Each evening, review your day and ask, what made me angry today? How did I respond? Could I have handled it better? Writing about your emotions forces you to analyze them with logic rather than impulse, gradually helping you refine your reactions over time. 20. View adversity as training for the soul. Every difficult person, every frustrating moment, is a test of your Stoic training. Epictetus compared life to a wrestling match, where the wise man welcomes challenges as opportunities to strengthen his discipline. The next time you face provocation, see it not as a disturbance, but as a chance to prove your mastery over anger. 21. Cultivate indifference to opinions. One of the greatest sources of anger is the desire for approval. The Stoics remind us that what others think of us is outside our control and ultimately irrelevant to our pursuit of virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Instead of letting criticism or gossip fuel your rage, cultivate a mindset of indifference. Focus on your own principles, and let others speak as they will. 22. Remember that others act from ignorance. People often act out of misunderstanding, pain, or ignorance rather than malice. Marcus Aurelius advised, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. Recognizing this in advance can prevent anger. Instead of taking offense, approach others with compassion and understanding. 23. Control your thoughts to control your anger. Our emotions are shaped by our thoughts. If you dwell on perceived slights and injustices, your anger will grow. The Stoics trained themselves to control their thoughts by redirecting them toward reason. When anger arises, ask yourself, is this truly worth my peace? Am I interpreting this situation correctly, or am I allowing assumptions to fuel my rage? 24. Develop emotional resilience through voluntary discomfort. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, fasting, enduring cold, and rejecting luxury, to strengthen their ability to endure discomfort without complaint. This same principle applies to anger. By exposing yourself to minor irritations and learning to remain composed, you train yourself to handle larger frustrations with grace. 25. Seek solitude to regain perspective when emotions run high. Step away from the chaos. Seneca often spoke of the power of solitude in calming the mind. A walk in nature, quiet meditation, or simply sitting alone with one's thoughts can restore inner peace. Solitude allows space for reason to replace anger with clarity. 26. Speak less, listen more. Many conflicts arise from speaking in haste. The Stoics believed that measured speech fosters wisdom. Before reacting in anger, practice pausing. Listen deeply. Consider your words carefully. A moment of silence can prevent a lifetime of regret. 27. Train yourself to respond with kindness. The highest form of strength is responding to hostility with calm and kindness. When insulted, instead of retaliating, respond with patience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is the ultimate Stoic victory, not allowing another's anger to dictate your behavior. 28. Reflect on the impermanence of all things. Anger often arises from taking life too seriously. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves that everything, both joys and grievances, is temporary. The next time you feel anger rising, remember, in a few hours, days, or years, this moment will be forgotten. Why let it disturb your peace now? 29. Embrace the concept of amor fati. The Stoics practiced amor fati, or the love of fate, the idea that everything that happens, even the difficult moments, is part of a greater whole. Instead of resisting events that provoke anger, accept them as necessary parts of your journey. Seneca said, "A good character is not formed in ease and quiet, but in the midst of suffering." View challenges as opportunities to practice patience and resilience. 30. Journal your thoughts to gain clarity. Writing can be a powerful tool for emotional mastery. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, kept journals to reflect on their thoughts and behaviors. When anger arises, put your feelings on paper. Ask yourself, what triggered this reaction? What alternative perspectives can I take? By analyzing your emotions, you gain distance from them, making it easier to respond with wisdom. 31. Avoid the trap of righteous indignation. Anger often disguises itself as righteousness. We convince ourselves that our outrage is justified, that our frustration serves a noble purpose. But Seneca warned, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Before acting on anger, question whether it truly serves virtue or merely feeds the ego. 32. Meditate on the universality of human flaws. Everyone, including yourself, makes mistakes. The Stoics encouraged reflecting on one's own flaws before condemning others. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "When you wake up in the morning, remember that you will meet people who are selfish, ignorant, and ungrateful. Instead of being angered by human nature, accept it with understanding and patience." 33. Use adversity as training for the mind. Rather than seeing difficulties as obstacles, view them as opportunities for growth. Epictetus taught that setbacks are essential for developing strength. Difficulties show a person's character. So, when trouble comes, think, "This is what I have trained for." Every moment of frustration is a test, one that strengthens you if approached with wisdom. 34. Take the longer view. Will this matter in a year? When anger grips you, step back and ask, will this issue still matter a year from now? More often than not, the answer is no. Most anger is tied to temporary frustrations. The ability to let go of minor grievances is a hallmark of Stoic wisdom. 35. Focus on what you can give, not what you can take. Self-centeredness fuels anger, while generosity dissolves it. The Stoics believe that by focusing on what we can contribute, kindness, wisdom, patience, we detach from the expectations that lead to disappointment and rage. When wronged, instead of dwelling on what was taken from you, ask, what virtue can I practice in response? 36. Build a legacy of composure. How do you want to be remembered? As someone easily provoked, or as someone who remains steady in the face of conflict? The Stoic sees life as a continuous opportunity to shape character. Each time you resist anger, you strengthen your legacy as a person of peace and reason. Final reflection: elevate above anger, choose serenity. The Stoic does not seek to suppress anger but to transcend it. Every frustration is an opportunity to cultivate inner strength, to rise above petty emotions, and to remain anchored in virtue. So when faced with anger, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my peace? And then choose, as the Stoics did, to remain composed, rational, and unshaken by the storms of life.